Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Daryl, Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. The rest of the data will be found down below this video. If you need any questions answered, please do not hesitate to contact me, 203-556-1493, or Daryl, D-A-R-Y-L-T-Q-R-S at yahoo.com. This video today is about the American National Standards Institute and the American National Crediting Board, Underwriters for the International Accreditation Form, which is a repository for both national and international accreditation bodies who are considered IAF, MLA, or MRA organizations, which an MLA is a multilateral agreement, and MRA is a multi-regional agreement. You really don't have to know those acronyms, only know that those organizations that are MRA or MLA, they are equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAB. So any type of systematic or product failure within that system falls under ANSI-ANAB. They are legally responsible. Like when that door popped off the Alaska Air, ANSI and ANAB, in concert with Boeing, are liable. When you have issues with Lockheed Martin, okay, with their 801st ship, okay, F-35, being produced with rejections, with quality issues, ANSI and ANAB are responsible. When you have Pfizer skipping quality processes and standards, that is liability on ANSI-ANAB. When you have the landing gear fall off or a tire fall off an aircraft, that is their legal responsibility, for they are underwriters, and I'm going to show this to you. So this again is ANSI-ANAB Underwriters for the IAF International Accreditation Forum Incorporated in Delaware, and their sister organization ILAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation in Australia, confesses to the WUHAN laboratory escape. And here we go. ANSI is the American National Standards Institute. It's been around for 100 plus years. It is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation that has federal agencies and corporations on board. In 2015, Randy Doherty, then the Vice President of ANAB, the Chairman of the IAF, and also the Principal in the 990 IAF tax report, handed over leadership of the IAF to this communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu, who has been involved with our quality since 1994. At the time, he's still the IAF chairman, but he's also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services out of Beijing, China, and you'll see him very shortly in the laboratory in Wuhan, China. This is an email that we received from Randy back when he was the Vice President of ANAB, the chairman of the IAF, and sat on the IAF tax form 990. He is basically telling you, or the reader, he was telling me, that an IAF MLA or MRA, as I told you, are equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAB. That means if you have the China National Accreditation Services that is run by Zhao Jinwu, then if he goes into the Wuhan lab and the virus escapes, which is a confession we have here from a Miss Pamela Sale, the Vice President of ANAB, ANSI-ANAB, and she confesses to the fact that it escaped, then you have an issue of liability. It's not with China attorneys, it is actually with ANSI-ANAB. They are underwriters. Also, Zhao Jinwu was mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take our data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. 2018, ANSI took over complete control of the American National Crediting Board, and also they were sitting between 2015 and 21 on the IAF, which was controlled by Zhao Jinwu. And remember, they have both federal agencies and corporations on board with cybersecurity issues. You have 10 different registrars in China that can issue an ANSI-ANAB accreditation, and here we go. ANSI is the founding member of the IAF, so they have complete control over that. You find anything wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen? Here they are. There's an illustration of both the IAF and ILAC being sister organizations. This tells you without a shadow of a doubt, in 2018, this federal contract came out, basically stating that ANAB is a underwriter, which is in the yellow down below. ANAB is an underwriter for the IAF. Basically, this is confessing to them being legally responsible for both systematic and product failures. This is not just the only document we have. We have many more. And here we go. We have Zhao Jinwu in the laboratory in 2017. issuing a laboratory certificate to a laboratory that was not prepared, because in 2018 a contingency came over from the United States and was talking with the scientists in the laboratory, and the scientists were basically asking for more trained technicians. For that is the number one containment, is to have trained technicians. So he gave a certificate to a faulty organization. Sounds like ANSI-ANAB does this, because remember, China National Accreditation Services is equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAB. Well, we can see that with Boeing's faux pas with their quality issues. We can see it with Lockheed Martin after their 801st F-35. They're still producing them with, with failure, with junk. You can also see it with Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson skipping quality processes and standards, and they all sit on ANSI's board. This is actually a notification that says a second annual workshop, which is held in Wuhan, China, between May 17th and 19th, 2017. And the first part of business there is gain of function. You have Miss Pamela Sale, who was the vice president of ANSI-ANAB's laboratory, and she basically confessed to laboratory escape from Wuhan, China. And this is how she said it. One of the issues is that there is no commonly agreed upon set of standards, and I'm going to add this into it. She says that forensic labs, biolevel 4 labs, phlebotomy labs around the country and world have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs can choose to follow or not. By them having informal guidelines, that means the likelihood, and more than the likelihood, of the COVID virus escaping from Wuhan. She just confessed to that. You have issues with laboratory analysis out of Washington, D.C., or actually out of Austin. Okay, and it's pervasive throughout the industry. I'm not going to read this to you. I don't want to put too much time into this as far as reading it, but I'm going to show you this. Hold it here a second. You can stop the video. You can stop the video for this. The worst thing is that over a period of 20 years, according to Washington Post, it basically said that nearly every examiner in the FBI forensic unit in Washington, D.C. gave flawed testimony in almost all trials in which they offered evidence over a period of 20 years, according to the Washington Post. Those trials included 32 death sentences. That's unbelievable, isn't it? And here we go. Majority in laboratory accredited. You also have the factor Johnson & Johnson sits on ANSI's board. Johnson & Johnson has quality issues, as I told you, ladies and gentlemen. This is only some. We have a ton of them. If you need information, as I told you, my telephone number and email address. You also have Pfizer. They all sit on ANSI's board with quality issues, just like Boeing, just like Lockheed. The corporations and federal agencies that are involved with ANSI-ANAB all have failure, all have recalls. You have the FDA sitting there. You have NIH sitting there. You have the CDC sitting there. And here is a CDC document that I told you about afterwards. And this came out in 2019 May, so right before the COVID really started to spring up. And this is what it says on page 3. It said this: the safety and function of a biolevel 4 laboratory rely not only on the containment facility and biosafety management systems, but on highly qualified and experienced staff. Many recorded laboratory accidents are related to personal issue or personal error. That's all I'm going to say, business owners, my fellow citizens. So you have basically Pamela Sale confessing to the escape ANSI-ANAB Vice President of Laboratory Certification. I do that to inform you, ladies and gentlemen. Just like I've been with Boeing, the same issues that happen in medical happen in aerospace, as you can see with Boeing. They all sit on ANSI's board. Boeing, Lockheed, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, FDA, USDA, FAA, they all, FBI, DOJ, DOD, etc., FTC. 203-556-1493. I look forward to hearing from you.